led to a Make West Great Again movement where hard-right parties and leaders are coming out against all things leftist, with leaders like Javier Milei, Meloni, Marine Le Pen and Pierre Poilievre come together for the MWGA movement. Indian security has prepared for a two-front war with Pakistan and China on two sides. But as Bangladesh keen to explore military cooperation with intel sharing and other possible arrangements with Pakistan, is this now becoming a larger nexus? India sends decodes. Will India see massive trade tariffs under Trump administration, or will this expedite trade talks between India and the US for a possible free trade pact? We speak with former US Assistant Trade Representative Mark Linscott. And Hamas is set to release 4 women hostages tomorrow. As per reports, 3 are women soldiers and 1 is a civilian. Hamas has over 100 hostages in its custody since the 7th of October attack on Israel in 2023. Our big story this week, viewers. In a sweeping change to US immigration policy, children of H-1B and other temporary visa holders may no longer automatically gain US citizenship. This move puts millions in limbo, leaving families with uncertain futures. The temporary visa holders like H-1B, H-4, L and F now face new restrictions affecting access to critical resources, whether it's education, financial aid, or even basic rights. But there's a silver lining, viewers, in all of this, which is that rule won't impact those already born in the US, offering a small sense of relief. Even those born till the 19th of February 2025 will be able to meet that threshold limit. But the stakes? Well, there are over 1 million Indians that are currently waiting for their green cards. And the clock is ticking. With over 4.8 million Indian Americans in the US, this policy has the potential to reshape the future for generations to come going forward. Meanwhile, as trade tensions mount between India and the US, the question of tariffs is at the forefront. Bilateral trade in the 2023-24 fiscal year between India and the US touched $120 billion, with US accounting for 18% of India's exports. India runs a trade surplus against USA. But that could all change if the US decides to pause tariffs on Indian goods, threatening key sectors, whether it's IT, pharmaceuticals, and others. So what's India's strategy in the face of these potential tariff hikes? Well, New Delhi will embrace possibly a multifaceted response. One that doesn't escalate to a full trade war, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we bend backwards to accommodate every demand of Donald Trump. Instead, India will likely increase its imports from the US for specific sectors. If needed, will probably retaliate with its own set of tariffs on particular sectors. Like in 2018, we did that on steel. New Delhi could also look to hike imports in sectors like energy, aerospace, or even medical devices, sectors that are very important to the Trump administration. Remember, retaliatory tariffs may be focused on areas like agricultural products, motorcycles, where Trump has already spoken about, like the Harley-Davidson motorcycles he's spoken about. Trade ties reflect counter tariffs on almonds and apples from the US were imposed when trade disputes flared up the last time around. He could probably do something similar as well. But in this give and take, are we going to be able to thrash out a deal? I spoke with C. Raja Mohan on my podcast. Listen in to what he said.
India's traditional style has been the other way. We announce a principle, and after that we don't have any flexibility. And that's why, despite India's growth of trade, in the WTO, everywhere India is seen with great suspicion, because we don't know when to stop bargaining and when to close a deal.
It is this suspicion that we have to end, viewers. Cut a deal if there's possibility to do so. But let me tell you, retaliation is not the only card that we have. We can even utilize this opportunity. It could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Why? There will be supply chain disruptions, because what India is going to face is going to be very small compared to what China is going to face. Because remember, China is a bigger threat for tariffs for Trump, along with Mexico and Canada, the two countries that he named on day one. Because with India, there is room for negotiations, not with some of these other countries. And the one area India needs to be cautious about is a possible levy on services, because that we run a services surplus against the US, one of the few countries to do so. And IT exports is probably going to be the biggest target for Donald Trump's administration when it comes to handling US-India trade ties. Shifting to our first wide-angle story, Make America Great Again, or MAGA, is not just a campaign slogan for Trump. It's fast becoming a template for global social change, probably a clarion call for a global movement of the hard right. And while Donald Trump is the poster boy of the hard right, Argentinian President Javier Milei is now emerging as its biggest champion. His over 30-minute speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he lashed out at the premier global grouping of the who's who of capitalism, focused on all that the right's main plank is all about: gender politics, diversity-related extreme ideological positions, bashing climate activists who choose climate activism over growth. But perhaps the Argentina's sharpest criticism came for immigration, where he came out heavily against illegal immigration and how woke governments are allowing it due to their own guilt. And he also spoke about the fact that these immigrants are not of the same faith. Listen in to a clipping of what Javier Milei had to say.
Since the West is supposedly the root cause of all of the world's evils in history, it must redeem itself by opening its borders to everyone, which leads to a form of reverse colonization that resembles collective suicide. So this is how we now see images of hordes of immigrants who abuse, assault, or even kill European citizens whose only sin was not adhering to a particular religion.
So while Donald Trump has got cracking on his election promises with a slew of executive orders, even his criticism comes nowhere close to what Javier Milei had to say. He spoke about, in fact, he spoke to a full house in Davos, which tells you that the Make West Great Again campaign is not just about America or Argentina. There are much more, and there are many more players here. There's El Salvador, there's Hungary's Viktor Orban, and who are already in power. Then there's UK's Nigel Farage, Canada's Pierre Poilievre, set to be the next Prime Minister of Canada, France's Marine Le Pen, who's been waiting in the wings, and possibly Germany's Alice Weidel as well, all of whom could join in. The MWGA will reshape our times. Make no mistake, it will reshape the world, and particularly countries like India that stand at the cusp of dealing with its own ideological battles against entrenched leftist ideals. Deep-rooted, possibly ultra-nationalist and ultra-leftist positions related to socialism are being stamped out in favor of capitalism. Javier said that capitalism lifted 90% people out of poverty. This is not Javier speaking. This is the movement that is speaking, that is, in fact, engulfing countries around the world. In contrast, in India, what do you hear? Sections of intellectual and political class debating about the merits of wealth redistribution, possibly more freebies. Well, viewers, the axe on wokeism and left ideology has fallen and will probably sweep powerful people around the world, and India will not be an exception to that. Second wide-angle story on the show. India's neighborhood is witnessing rapid change, unmistakable shift. Bangladesh, a country which fought for independence against Pakistan, is now warming up to its former tormentor. Bangladesh and Pakistan are evaluating close military ties, with top-level military meetings and exchanges taking place, all driven by anti-India sentiments. As the largest investor in both Pakistan and Bangladesh, China is using its ability to stitch together a possible larger nexus. What form and shape it could take and what could be India's options, this report tells you.
गर्जना जमीन पर ये जांबाजी चारों दिशाओं में गूंजता है विजय घोष। ये नए भारत का आह्वान।
India's backyard is witnessing multiple headwinds, with a slew of anti-India meetings. Bangladesh's interim foreign affairs advisor Tauhid Hussain held crucial talks with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in Beijing. Even as the head of Pakistan's ISI, Shahid Amir Afsara was in Dhaka, ahead of planned military drills in February. His visit came after decades of deep freeze between Bangladesh and Pakistani ties. But under Bangladesh's interim regime, led by Mohammad Yunus, engagement with Pakistan seems to have picked up. Yunus's recent public embrace of Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif at the United Nations was symbolic, a gesture that had been once unthinkable in Bangladeshi politics. It sent a powerful message that Bangladesh, despite its deep scars due to Pakistan's brutal suppression of Bengalis, now sees India as its bigger foe. Add to this the China factor. In the wake of Sheikh Hasina's ouster, China has woven itself into the fabric of Bangladesh's military, foreign policy and economy by pumping in a lot of money. In fact, it is Bangladesh's largest investor. As Bangladesh drifts closer to Pakistan, China stands to gain. If Pakistan re-establishes its foothold in Bangladesh, it could create a larger nexus against India. Pakistan could use Bangladesh as a launching pad for anti-India activities, more so since the India-Bangladesh border remains porous. ISI chief's visit in Dhaka was meant for building greater intel sharing between the two countries, a move that will allow Pakistani army and its proxies to freely use Bangladesh for anti-India activities. Indian forces have long prepared for a two-front war against China and Pakistan. And with Bangladesh joining the Nexus, India's security landscape will complicate further.
All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. On the other side of India Ascents, we talk to former long-time trade negotiator on US-India trade ties. Stay with us.
Hi, Donald John Trump.
This week on India Ascents, will President Donald Trump's new H-1B visa policy result in a reverse brain drain? We decode the Pakistan-China-Bangladesh nexus brewing against India. And why is UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer being slammed for an alleged boys' club in his government? All this and more only on India Ascents with me, Gaurie Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Kind attention, please. Delhi Election Metro 2025 is arriving on People's Platform.
Please mind the gap.
BJP or AAP, who will get to the Delhi Secretariat station?
दरवाजे बाईं तरफ खुलेंगे.
Who will Delhi voters open the victory doors for? And who will be shown the door? Can the BJP throw AAP's victory run off track? Or will it be Kejriwal's ticket to win again? Can Congress take the election metro to revival? We will track it all for you. Delhi's decision destination.
Doors will open on the left.
Stay tuned to NDTV for mega metro poll coverage.
Hello and welcome to the best of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
For 2 decades, NDTV has been a window to the world's greatest thinkers, leaders, Nobel laureates and stars at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
From Bill Gates to Shakira to Randy Zuckerberg to top ministers to what is often the biggest story, India, a global economic powerhouse. Conversations around our greatest challenges from AI to wars to sustainability. Join us, NDTV's Vishnu Shom and me, Neeraj Shah, as we engage with the world's finest. NDTV at Davos from January 20th to January 25th.
The future of infrastructure, the future of multi-nodal connectivity, the future of integrated rail, road and air transport. The future is here. Witness groundbreaking innovations and game-changing ideas at the Future Summit on 27 January, exclusively on the NDTV network.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Anil Kapoor.
Proud of all the officers and
Kiara Advani. Sonu Sood.
आज मुझे मौका मिला आपके साथ जुड़ने का.
Vijay Deverakonda.
We are Indians.
Republic Day Special.
Welcome back. You're watching India Ascends. Let's get the top voice segment on the show. Mark Linkskott, who is a former Assistant Trade Secretary at the US, joins me to talk about the US-India trade relationship. Mark, let me start by asking you, how do you see the trade relationship now under Donald Trump's administration?
Well, it's a bit counterintuitive to say this, but it is my belief. I think that with the Trump administration and even the threat of tariffs or potentially the imposition of tariffs, there are opportunities to actually improve the trade relationship, and that's essentially because the two sides will be playing for a lot. The stakes will be high. I expect that there will be leader-level attention, meaning President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, and that presents a set of circumstances that allow the two sides to come together, engage in give and take, and put a lot on the table, and ideally conclude, it may take some time, but ideally conclude a first ever US-India bilateral trade agreement. So I'm optimistic.
Well, this indeed is counterintuitive. I want to ask you, why are you so optimistic? And do you think some of this is Trump's rhetoric, maybe posturing for better negotiations?
Well, yes, I do think that there's a degree of posturing, and certainly on the part of the Trump administration, only a couple days old. There is, I think, a desire to leverage at least the threat of tariffs to commence a trade negotiation, and let's not minimize some of the difficulties of that. A trade negotiation could be very, very hard and difficult to conclude. But that said, the two sides do have experience negotiating with each other on trade. During the first Trump administration, this was when I was at the U.S. Trade Representative's office as the Assistant USTR for South and Central Asia, we had a situation in which India's benefits under the GSP program, the Generalized System of Preferences program, were being threatened. There was a review looking to suspend those benefits. And it was that impetus that got the two sides to the table and came very close to concluding a trade deal. It would have been a smaller trade deal, but it certainly would have been a significant accomplishment. And I think it's unfortunate it didn't happen then. I am much more hopeful this time around that there can be a trade deal during the Trump second term of office.
All right, Mark Linkskott, thanks much for speaking to me on India Ascends. Inside Story segment on the show. Well, it's been a week of bad news related to climate and environment. And within an hour of entering the Oval Office this week, President Trump led America's exit from the Paris Accord, throwing weaker nations into greater jeopardy since there will not be enough climate funding to aid the transition towards carbon commitments. COP's $300 billion by 2035 pledge is now pretty much up in the air. But the fact is, climate challenges are not unique to developing countries. And no one knows this better than America, which is battling another wave of wildfires. Well, this report tells you why extreme temperatures and these wildfires are just another sign why Donald Trump needs to stay invested when it comes to climate accords.
Raging wildfires in America have a story to tell, one of destruction and ignorance. A fortnight after California witnessed its worst fire in many decades, more have been lit. While this time the devastation and loss of life may have been contained, the long-term impact of climate change is undeniable. Worse still, cities that are used to hurricanes are now getting snowstorms. Cold and snow are challenges that southern states in America are not equipped to handle. Freak snowstorms have impacted power grids, airport infrastructure, and everything else across southern states. From Louisiana to Florida to Texas, Americans are struggling, and so are their cities. America's struggles, though well documented, are just a small part of how the world, particularly the poor countries, are struggling to cope with. Last year, America contributed $11 billion towards climate finance, mostly in the form of costly loans. This line of funding is now likely to dry up. With Donald Trump's public declaration that nations don't need or are not fit to get funding. The ferocity of the blazes in US were fueled by climate change. But it seems the MAGA brigade, instead of learning its lessons, is pushing the world further into chaos and uncertainty.
Well, in an age where technology drives modern warfare, India is truly stepping up its game. As regional tensions simmer, India's massive $3.2 billion space initiative is positioning it as a powerhouse in the battle for supremacy in this space. And let's take a look at this report that tells you India's ambitious space-based surveillance program and how it could change the landscape of military intelligence in India's neighborhood.
On steroids and promises to leave no stone or satellite unturned. Now, what does this mean for India's neighbors? Pakistan and China may now find it harder to keep their activities under wraps. India's new space sensors will allow it to monitor both land and sea-based operations, and this could dramatically alter the calculus in future standoffs, both in the air and on the ground. But make no mistake, India isn't just playing defense. This is a clear message to both Pakistan and China. New Delhi is no longer reliant on foreign satellite technology. No more looking to the US or Israel or any other country for high-resolution imagery. The SPS-3 is all about homegrown technology, and in the coming years, India plans to build a self-sufficient AI-powered spy network among the most sophisticated in the world. And let's not forget, this isn't just about gathering intel. The real magic lies in India's ability to respond with the launch-on-demand capability. India could potentially launch a 650-kilogram satellite into space within an hour from a mobile platform. The ability to keep your watchful eye in space operational at all times is what separates the giants from the also-rans.
Well, viewers, that's all the time we have in this edition of India Sense. But before we wrap things up, on your screens is that QR code that you can scan and get all the latest news, views, interviews, perspectives when it comes to India Sense. Thanks so much for watching this edition. See you next week.
Well, I'm in Altadena. This is one of the worst hit areas.
When disaster strikes, NDTV World brings you exclusive on-the-ground reports straight from the heart of the action.
A neighborhood in Los Angeles that has been devastated by fire.
I just received an emergency alert extreme, which has come on my phone.
Stay tuned for NDTV World's in-depth coverage as we bring you the real stories from Los Angeles.
This is the Altadena area, and there are still fires, and there's a lot of smoke in the area. These houses completely gutted.
This is reporting that matters only on NDTV World.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith. The world's biggest spiritual festival. The divine dip at the spiritual Sangam. A sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Hi, Donald John Trump.
This week on India Ascends. Will President Donald Trump's new H-1B visa policy result in a reverse brain drain? We decode the Pakistan-China-Bangladesh nexus brewing against India. And why is UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer being slammed for an alleged boys' club in his government? All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gaurie Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Kind attention, please. Delhi Election Metro 2025 is arriving on People's Platform.
Please mind the gap.
BJP or AAP, who will get to the Delhi Secretariat station?
दरवाजे बाईं तरफ खुलेंगे.
Who will Delhi voters open the victory doors for? And who will be shown the door? Can the BJP throw AAP's victory run off track? Or will it be Kejriwal's ticket to win again? Can Congress take the election metro to revival? We will track it all for you. Delhi's decision destination.
Doors will open on the left.
Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
Hello and welcome to the best of.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View this Friday evening. I'm Veera Raghav, and the special focus this evening on the Tamuraga Vetri Karagam and its road ahead in Tamil Nadu politics as it builds its party organization. But first, let's take you through the headlines we're tracking this hour. Punjab police is being misused by people, says Union Minister Ravneet Bittu, as the face-off over security cover for Arvind Kejriwal intensifies. The story first broken on NDTV. Siddaramaiah gets a closure and clean chit in the 2014 Bengaluru Turf Club case. Special court closes the case, but the Muda muddle remains the focus as the Lokayukta will submit a report to the High Court on Monday. Hyderabad Police Commissioner says they are probing all angles in that horrific case dubbed the pressure cooker case by the media. Well, first up this evening to the latest in Tamil Nadu politics. Months after he had that mega party event, actor Vijay's Tamuraga Vetri Karagam today announced a list of 19 district secretaries and the party's second-rung leadership, largely outlaying the party's organization structure. This is an important step for the party, which hopes to alter Dravidian political equations and realities. And a strong party organization, remember, is essential to turn the Vijay star power into votes. The political fault lines in the state are also clear. Earlier in the day, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin hit out with a dig at actor Vijay, even as he inducted into the DMK over 3,000 people from another party, the Nam Tamizhar Katchi, which is led by fiery orator, film director Seeman, who has made controversial comments against the founder of the Dravidian movement, E.V.R. Periyar.
ஆனால் இன்றைக்கு சில கட்சிகளை பார்க்கிறோம், தொடங்கிய உடனே ஆட்சிக்கு வருவோம் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய நிலை இன்றைக்கு நாட்டில் இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. நாங்கள் தான் அடுத்த ஆட்சி, நாங்கள் தான் அடுத்த முதல் என்று அநாத நிலையை சுற்றி கொண்டிருக்கிறவர்களெல்லாம் இன்றைக்கு அதை பிதற்றிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். நான் யார், எப்படிப்பட்டவர், எந்த கட்சி தலைவர் என்றெல்லாம் சொல்ல விரும்பலை. காரணம், அவர்களுக்கெல்லாம் நான் அடையாளம் காட்டுவதற்கு நான் தயாராக இல்லை. அதுதான் உண்மை. அவர்கள் பெயரை சொல்லி இந்த மேடைக்கு உரிய அங்கீகாரத்தை, இந்த மேடைக்குரிய கௌரவத்தை நான் குறைத்துக் கொள்ள விரும்பல. அதுதான் உண்மை. அதை எனக்கு புரிந்துக்கேன். மக்களுக்காக பாடுபட கட்சியாக இருந்து, உழைக்கக்கூடிய கட்சியாக இருந்து, உண்மையிலேயே தமிழனுக்காக பாடுபட கட்சியாக இருந்தால் நான் சொல்லலாம். வேஷம் விட்டு கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு நாடகத்தை நடத்தி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடியவர்களுக்கெல்லாம் நான் அடையாளம் காட்ட விரும்பல. தான் உண்மை.
There, taking that dig at actor Vijay and his Tamuraga Vetri Karagam, also hitting out at the NTK in that function there. But the core question this evening is simple and straightforward. Is actor Vijay any closer than he was to forging an anti-DMK alliance with the principal opposition party in the state, AIA-DMK? Remember, without the AIA-DMK, such an alliance may be a non-starter. The AIA-DMK, TVK and the BJP seem to be mirroring each other's stand on several issues like the Annavar city sexual assault or the Erode East by-election. But can that turn into an alliance without which it may be difficult to take on the might of the DMK and its cohesive alliance? Multiple factors at play here, and to understand them, joining me this evening, three noted political observers from Tamil Nadu: R.K. Radhakrishnan, Sumant C. Raman and Kavita Muralidharan. R.K. Radhakrishnan, my first question to you: Stalin taking on Vijay very clearly, making those comments there, is that a sense of nervousness within the DMK that Vijay may be able to form a cohesive alliance to take it on in 2026?
Absolutely. Coalition or not, definitely it's going to be a huge problem for the DMK. And the DMK's reaction to each of Vijay's outings, so to speak, where it is Parandur or Vengayvasan, where there has been a problem involved for Dalits, everything has been, it's like you need somebody like Vijay to get the DMK's act together. It's like that. Parandur, you had the minister Tangam speak before Vijay went, and after Vijay went, there has been a series of discussions on that. And then again, Vengayvasan, where there has been a problem of fecal contamination in a tank, or overhead water tank. We see that the DMK's today, the committee has submitted this report yesterday, and to the court yesterday, and then subsequently they are taking action. So I think there is a lot of nervousness in the DMK, and as you rightly pointed out, there is a problem in the alliance. I mean, in talking about an alliance itself, because the ADMK cannot consider the leadership role, and the Vijay's party cannot be seen as a second fiddle. So there is a huge problem right there.
That's right. That's a big stumbling block. But Sumant C. Raman, do you see a sense of backroom coordination happening? Because in the Annavar city case, Vijay going to the governor and complaining about law and order raised a few eyebrows. And then the Erode East by-election, all three parties deciding to boycott them, embarrassing the DMK in more ways than one.
Vijay has an option of either aligning with the AIA-DMK or trying to go it alone with a few smaller parties, which is not going to lead him anywhere. So I think he is aware of the limitations of of the reach that he has, the charisma that he has. So and he has openly indicated he's open for alliances. Now, the BJP is the problem here because Vijay has identified the BJP as his ideological enemy. So clearly, an alliance of sorts with the BJP is going to be extremely difficult for him to justify and may create a lot of negative sort of impression on Vijay's political entry. So the question is, how does he balance this, the need for alliances, along with the real issue, which is not to be seen as somebody who's just trying to, make a political impact in his very first election at all costs. So without sacrificing ideology, he says he has got two enemies. Ideological enemy is the BJP, and the enemy as such on the ground is the DMK. So if he's going to take on both these enemies, then the only option for him is to tie up with the AIADMK and hope that the AIADMK and the BJP don't get into an alliance. The AIADMK has already indicated that they are sort of open for an alliance with the TVK. Of course, we are over a year away from the election, so it's way too early to predict which way things will go. But an alliance between the AIADMK, the Vijay, DMDK, PMK, and so on, and a few other parties can give the DMK a run for its money, can give the DMK alliance. Mind you, we're not talking of the DMK contesting alone. They're contesting as part of the India alliance, as it were. So they can be given a run for their money. And with anti-incumbency, there's a very real chance that Vijay could end up a Pavan Kalyan of Tamil Nadu.
Well, a Pavan Kalyan of Tamil Nadu, you say. Suman C. Raman, Kavita Muralidharan also joins us. Kavita, to be the Pavan Kalyan of Tamil Nadu, he needs to strike a deal like Pavan Kalyan deal with Chandrababu Naidu. Can Vijay strike that kind of a deal with Edappadi Palanichami? That's really the question. At one point of time when Naidu was in jail, during the run-up to 2024, Pavan Kalyan really took the front role in bringing the BJP and TDP together.
See, one thing what we know about Edappadi Palanichami, he is not willing to cede any ground. He is not willing to accommodate his former party members, party leaders, including OPS or Sasikala, into his party, which obviously is going to help the ADMK, considering that it's really in shambles now. So when Edappadi is not willing to do that, I am not sure how he will actually agree to, Vijay being a Pavan Kalyan. So that is, I think that is out of question. And I think Tamil Nadu is entirely different. And we have had actors who have tried politics in Tamil Nadu, and we know how successful or unsuccessful we have been. So I'm not, one thing is when we at alliances, I'm really, one thing that makes me curious is the fact that Vijay is not even shown enough seriousness about, building his party or about being political. I mean, he goes to Parandur, he meets people. I agree, but I think it's not enough to be a politician in Tamil Nadu. What Vijay does is certainly not enough. So even before we talk about alliances, I'm not sure if he's even expressed enough seriousness to be considered as a serious politician in Tamil Nadu as of today. That's what I really think.
On a day that he has announced his party organization structure here, R.K. Radhakrishnan, the star appeal to turn into votes, you've seen it work for some, it hasn't worked for many, including big stars. Has Vijay shown in the last 3 or 4 months since the event, the mega rally that we are playing on our screens, that he has the political acumen and the strategy to build alliances and to sort of negate the political waters of Tamil Nadu?
So there are serious problems here, Veera. If you ask me, I would say that the exact chance that MGR had in 1972 was presented to Vijay on a platter with the Erode East by-election. I think he should have contested, or he should have put somebody else to contest from his own party to test the waters. It would have given a feel of what an election looks like, especially in a by-election, and what needs to be done on the ground to actually bring people together, bring people onto the booths, and actually see how voting takes place and what kind of traction the party has. That chance he completely missed, probably because of advice. And again, his party itself, there was a senior leader from the Delta districts who wanted to join the party, who was a former union minister. And the point is that he got in touch with one of these two gatekeepers. One is John, the other is Busi Anand. He got in touch with one of the gatekeepers, and the gatekeeper apparently called up the DMK or the ADMK, one of those parties, and told very clearly that this guy wants to join. And then we see a complete, complete capitulation on the part of this particular leader. I mean, it just happened to multiple leaders across multiple parties, wherein they're not able to approach Vijay. Even the party men, it's a completely fan-controlled party as of now, with two individuals controlling all access to Vijay, and the party looking like a kind of a fan base, and the fan base is actually being converted into district secretaries and all the other positions. So I completely supplement Kavita's point when she says that we don't know how serious he is.
Well, we don't know much in terms of the run-up to the polls. As Sumant Raman pointed out, it's still 1 year away. You don't know how things will shape up. But Sumant Raman, the more important question is from the AIADMK's point of view. Having lost 3 successive elections, 2019, 2021 and 2024, and lost it decisively, the party needs some new momentum to come in. And that momentum, perhaps the only thing visible in Tamil Nadu at the moment, the only leader face visible in Tamil Nadu to bring that kind of momentum is Vijay. Would you agree?
No, I think that there is a level of complementarity there. What the AIADMK lacks is charisma. What the AIADMK has is a very strong organization base, which even today is capable of taking on the DMK one-on-one. But the fact that DMK never contests one-on-one, they always contest as part of a large alliance and a phalanx of parties arrayed behind it with the adequate caste equations and so on. So therefore, to take on such a large alliance, it becomes imperative for AIADMK to enter alliances, and therefore, what are they looking for? They're looking for that X factor, the charisma, the youth vote, which Vijay could potentially attract, and also indirectly a kind of reach out to the minorities. While Vijay is not overtly projected as a minority member of the minority community, there will be the factor that he does, represent them in some form or the other. So therefore, the vote, if there was to be an alliance, and I don't agree with what Kavita said that AIADMK is in shambles. They still command 20-21%. Yes, they used to command 45% at the time of Jayalalitha, but they're still clearly the second largest party and the principal opponent to the DMK. And if the party is contested one-on-one, they could give the DMK a run for its money. One last point. I don't agree they lost 2021 so badly. They got 75 seats after 10 years in power with the significant anti-incumbency.
No, I think
they still ended up with 75 seats.
Lost power. I'm really sorry, we've completely run out of time. I just have last 10 seconds to you, Kavita Muralidharan. Vijay as an X factor in 2026, still a potential powerful X factor. Yes or no?
No. I don't see him as a powerful factor at all in the 2026 elections. I've not seen him being a serious politician, and if he is really serious, I think at least he needs to wait for another 2 or 3 elections before he can actually make some impact.
Okay. Needs to prove himself on the field, you say. Thanks very much to all 3 of you for joining us. I'm sorry we've completely run out of time, but from Tamil Nadu to the politics of Karnataka, a win for Siddaramaiah as the Special Court for People's Representatives gave a clean chit and closed the 2014 Bengaluru Turf Club case involving allegations of a quid pro quo in the nomination of a steward for that famous turf club in the city. It was anticipated as the Lokayukta had filed a closure report and there was no quid pro quo according to the court. All eyes now on that big Lokayukta report that is to be submitted before the Karnataka High Court on the bigger and politically fiery Muda case this Monday. In its last hearing, the court had ordered the Lokayukta police to file a report before it on the 27th of this month, which is Monday. All these cases, remember, will have a direct impact on the power play in Karnataka politics.
ಬಿಜೆಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ 3-4 ಗುಂಪುಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಗುಂಪು ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಡಿ ಕೆ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದೀವಲ್ಲ, ಗುಂಪೇಲಿದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ. There is no groupism in our party. There is a vertical division in BJP. ಕಚ್ಚಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಆ ಥರ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ, ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಸುಭದ್ರವಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾವು 5 ವರ್ಷ ಅಧಿಕಾರವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. 2028ರಲ್ಲಿ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ನಡೆದಾಗ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರ.
Well, joining me this evening for a quick political face-off, Lavanya Balal Jain of the Congress and Madhu N. Rao of the BJP. Madhu N. Rao, you heard Siddaramaiah there saying categorically that it's the BJP which is a divided house and the Congress is united. If he gets a clean chit in the Muda case, he could get very offensive.
Good evening. Well, I don't know whether should I talk about Muda first or the infighting of the Congress party though. But I feel one thing. If there are any infighting and who's pulling the leg of Mr. Siddaramaiah, it's none other than the DK Shivakumar. Because there was a time when there was a discussions going on at the time of who should be the chief minister at the time when they got into power. There was a merry-go-round which was going on in Delhi as to who should become the chief minister. And by all means, I think they had some 50-50 ratio of 2.5 years and 2.5 years. It's coming nearer. Perhaps DK Shivakumar wants him to step down. And there are infighting issues in Congress. That's well in the open. I don't have to tell it again. But the fact of the matter remains. Now look at the attitude of the chief.
Wants Vijayendra to step down. Sri Ramulu wants to leave the party and you are blaming it all here.
Veera, the point is this. Well, this is a party which is now in the government and the helm of affairs in Congress in Karnataka. Well, in every party there will be some issues, but the point of contention or rather to discussion is this is a party in power. Now look at what happens when they pull down the government. They themselves, if they pull down the government. Now why I will tell you, just give me a minute, I won't talk much. Look at the Muda incident. This is the very same chief minister who the High Court has told, and High Court has indicted the chief minister. There is an FIR which gets registered against him in the Lokayukta. Lokayukta does not attempt to even arrest him in spite of there being offences registered under 420, 120B, 464, 465 of forgery. And look at this. The chief minister himself does not want to even apply for an anticipatory bail. Now, this is the attitude of the chief ministership in Karnataka. I mean, if they are booking cases against a person who hates, who files a hate speech.
Lavanya Balal, respond to it. The Muda case remains. The Muda case remains an Achilles heel.
Good evening, Veera. Good to be back on your show today. No, it does not remain to be Achilles heel. It proves what we have always been saying, that the BJP is very good at creating fantasy stories and wasting the time of the entire judiciary mechanism. And this is what they have done. They were harping about how Lokayukta should investigate. Lokayukta apparently is saying, or they have not yet submitted the report. According to the leaked reports, Lokayukta is giving a clean chit to the chief minister. And we stand vindictive. We have said this multiple times. Siddaramaiah will come out unscathed, and he's coming out unscathed. I'm very surprised that today we have a discussion about, there could be infighting in Congress. I'm very surprised that we have not had debates about how Vijayendra, the leader of opposition, is not being recognized openly by multiple factions of his own party. Multiple factions in the BJP are today saying we do not agree, or we do not want Vijayendra as the leader of opposition. How is it that we do not have a discussion about it? We have two BJP leaders who are openly fighting, two leaders from Bellary, are calling each other names, and they are fighting. You know what?
Go ahead, Madhura.
Veera,
Go ahead, Madhura.
Today we are discussing about the issues of the Congress party and also the Muda. Now, I just want to ask a question to my friend Lavanya. Look at the situation. I could not finish that, but at that point of time, I was only trying to tell, look at how the Congress party and the government is functioning in Karnataka. He has not even taken an anticipatory bail, whereas the government is at all power to even book a person who was sent a hate speech, or rather to say a post on the Facebook. They pick him up and put him in the jail. And here we have Mr. Siddaramaiah, and perhaps of a 300 crore or 400 crore scam, where he has not even been touched by the Lokayukta. Lokayukta gives the summons as and when they like, and Mr. Siddaramaiah goes and as and when he likes. I mean, what is happening? Perhaps DK Shivakumar must be having a last laugh. Perhaps if he gets 1 minute, madam. If he gets indicted,
Lavanya, respond quickly. You respond, and I'll have to wrap the show after this.
Yeah,
Please
I would
respond,
like to
Lavanya.
I would like to tell the BJP, Siddaramaiah is not taking an anticipatory bail because he knows that he is innocent and he need not. I'm sorry, I didn't. Don't interrupt.
He is misusing the
Don't
power.
interrupt. Don't interrupt, Mister. So he does not need to
Go
take
ahead.
an
Last 10
anticipatory.
seconds.
Yeah. He does not need to take an anticipatory bail, and we stand vindictive. We are unscathed in the entire allegation that is leveled at us by the BJP. I would really like to be part of a debate where we discuss the broken house of the BJP.
This is the brazenness at which the Congress
Okay,
party
fine.
is
We'll
in
leave this
Karnataka,
conversation
Veera.
here. Obviously, there is internal battles on all sides of Karnataka politics. But thanks to the two of you for joining us here. We'll possibly come back on Monday when that report is submitted before the High Court of Karnataka. A quick update on that horrific case in Hyderabad, dubbed the pressure cooker case by the media. The police say they're probing all angles and have got forensic experts from around the country to probe the case. Uma Sudhir has the details.
We got a complaint, and he himself came to us and this about this issue, killing about his wife. Then we are investigating the case, and then we not only experts from our state, we are calling experts from different parts of the country also. We are putting all efforts. Once we get real clues and real aspects of which nitty-gritty of the investigation, which I can't reveal to you. Once it comes up, certainly I'll inform you.
Well, that's all we have time for on the Southern View this evening. We'll get more details on that case from Uma in a bit. But news and updates continue right here on NDTV. Thanks for watching.
The dominance in the chess of a select few countries, like it was the case for a very long time, also seems to be moving.
Every journey, in a sense, starts somewhere. We started slowly, as you can imagine, but we always had a core community of very dedicated chess fans. I was the first Grandmaster in 1987. By 2000, we had 6 Grandmasters, and now we have 85.
World saw world champions very differently in 2000s.
Look, the title of the world champion has always been very, very important in chess. I got the chance finally in the year 2000. I was lucky that my stars aligned then. I had had a couple of attempts before. My mother knew how to play chess, and she came from a family of chess players.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Can someone working alone solve all the world's biggest challenges? Isn't collaboration the way we'll make lighter, more sustainable packaging and generate limitless energy? At SABIC, we believe the chemistry between people is the chemistry that matters. SABIC.
विकास पुरुष प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मार्गदर्शन एवं माननीय मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी के कुशल नेतृत्व में प्रयागराज महाकुंभ 2025 अब डिजिटल महाकुंभ बनने के लिए हो चुका है तैयार। डिजिटल महाकुंभ के सपने को साकार करने वाली आवश्यक सेवाओं के लिए कुंभ सहायक AI चैटबॉट को QR कोड स्कैन कर WhatsApp पर प्राप्त किया जा सकता है। इससे श्रद्धालु 11 भाषाओं में हर तरह की जानकारियां प्राप्त कर सकेंगे। कुंभ सहायक चैटबॉट से बोलकर या लिखकर तत्काल जानकारियां प्राप्त होंगी। ये चैटबॉट श्रद्धालुओं को मीडिया गैलरी जैसी कई और सुविधाएं भी देगा। किसी अस्थायी शहर के लिए पहली बार गूगल पर महाकुंभ मेला क्षेत्र अलग से चिन्हित किया गया है। इससे नेविगेशन आसान होगा। डिजिटल महाकुंभ का साक्षी बनने आप भी पधारिए प्रयागराज। सनातन गर्व महाकुंभ पर्व महाकुंभ 2025।